So let's talk Critical Role Campaign 4, Episode 1. What happened? Thjazi Fang, the death, how it relates to One Piece, and are you intrigued yet by the multi-table concept and the groups spreading out? Is that going to work, especially when we've got already factions clashing a little bit? Let's talk major moments, my thoughts, reactions, and analysis to everything that happened in that episode. Let's go. In the city of Dolmakyar, we are met with the gallows and Thjazi Fang just on top. We get a little backstory and flashbacks here and there, but it is primarily actually not about the execution whatsoever. And so we're getting a little bit of subverted trope because we're getting already player characters, especially in the form of Matt Mercer's Sir Julian, and I'm mispronouncing a couple of these names, I'm sure, as the person who caught Thjazi in the first place, who is also sort of arm in arm with his ex. Woohoo! Sparks are flying because a few people are not happy about that. His brother, the aforementioned Hal, as well, not being, concerningly and also surprisingly, one of the people that is not obviously concerned about that in the first place. Most importantly, let's talk about what happened that led to the actual execution of Thjazi in the first place, the ramifications, the subsequent sequelae that sort of unraveled, as well as that were discovered. And let's just talk straight at the beginning, right? The most intriguing thing was, if you're listening to the beginning of the episode, why did the glyph fail that was in Thjazi's pocket? Azune was checking it and saying, oh yeah, it's something there, it's magical, but we didn't actually see it, right? It's like when a character dies off screen and you don't really see it, dies, and you kind of just wonder, unless the creator confirms it. We think that it's the real glyph until all of a sudden he just dies, which is the intriguing thing because we don't actually know if he used the fake or with what he saw in the sky changed his mind about using it. The other main aspect with Thjazi at this point is that he's a traitor, he is an arcanist, and he is a murderer. Okay. And we get a little backstory later on that this has happened maybe within the last 2 years between the interaction between Arnessa and Sir Julian in terms of the things that have changed. The other aspect of this is the pronunciation. The pronouncement of his execution is maybe not what people thought was going to happen. Because Wikander, as part of the Halaver family, said, I talked to my family. This was who Hal was scheming with to get him off the hook. And Wikander kind of said to Hal, hey, you're good, man. You're good. So the glyph was a potential redundancy in the first place. Which brings up, talking about Wikander, the whole cult of the Candescent Creed at this point, which is going to be obviously a huge overarching narrative, not only in general and the dynamics with our characters going forward, but just the overarching hypocrisy potentially, the power that is wielding currently. And as it's alluded to at the end of the episode, that they are growing in power, and the fact that, well, it's a essence, it's an entity that doesn't actually worship anyone that has a visage or actual response to the worshipers, so they can just worship it without any ramifications. And somehow now we've got demons working for the light. Again, the superimposed irony and dynamic clash that goes along with that as well cannot be understated. Although I do like the wink, wink, nod, nod of, in this verse of the Creed, I think that's just, a little bit funny. Tyranny as the demon, since we'll stay on that topic since we just mentioned it, is absolutely hilarious. Tyranny may be my new favorite character. When I think of other things, like board games, for example, I am a person that just wants to watch the world burn sometimes. With one of my favorite games called Wiz War, I just love sometimes the elements and the stories and the dynamic chaos that is created. And Tyranny has that all over. Like, it's plastered on her face from the get-go. From the moment she chugs the whole bottle of liquor to the dynamic introductions, as well as just the play of words back and forth with the also naivety, but also devilishness in nature at the same time. Most of the episode being centered around the wake to explore the dynamics of the interactions between the characters with their backstories and how they knew or were in the general vicinity or the sphere of influence around Thjazi is also, it's intriguing because I wasn't going into this expecting there to be so many different orbits that Thjazi had in that way. And, you know, with a lot of other campaigns and systems, we see everyone is brought together by a common goal. We're all friends. We've already grouped together. No, these are significantly split dynamics already into 2, 3, or even potentially 4 different spheres that are going to be slowly orbiting each other, which is going to lead to potentially the dynamic of the multi-table system in the future. Octus is really cool to me because a necromantic wizard with a pieced together foxkin. Okay, I am loving the familiars as well, with Pincushion here, but also Cadigan's wolf named Wolfie. You can't make this stuff up. And Cadigan playing sort of the aloof anti-hero ranger vibe, figuring out that, Thimble's there. And, we got a Thimble going on alongside. And we got Teor, which as like a lion dude, I am all for. I hope we're getting away with a few of these characters from the normal tropes in terms of what to expect. Because again, like I said, craziness. So I love the race changes already. I love the necromancer style of things. I love the demon vibe. I don't know what to make, speaking of Teor, and Teor's subsequent find and saving of Thimble. By the way, the best quote of the whole thing was, "I said make backup characters," because, you know what, let's use this as a little interlude after we talk about Thimble for a second, of my love for Brennan. Thimble as a fairy, as a 4-inch fairy, right? 4 inches, I think so. And so, the vibe of overlapping of finding out that the stone is missing in Thjazi's apartment, flop house as it's called, which is a rundown series of houses or buildings. And that's actual term. I had to look that up when Brendan used that because, by the way, his vocabulary is just stunning. As a son of an English teacher, it is just loving that aspect of things. So cannot say enough about that. The door to the fairy realm being closed, the allusion to that happening at the end of the episode as well, was a good callback to her character. And we'll get to, in a second, Valus being played by Ashley Johnson as, again, a mysterious 800-year-old elven paladin. Okay, but my love for Brennan, knows no bounds in this situation because I think he did an absolutely amazing job. When you have, sort of the pedigree and the shadow of Matt Mercer casting over you to begin with, this was absolutely knocked out of the park. And he said the words at the end of the episode as well. So the other sort of things we got along the way, Bolaire as a construct with the mask. I love the idea of this, right? I love Valus with the hunter-esque, bounty hunter vibe going after the deceased goddess of life, Salandri's Song of Nightstone, which is gonna have some big effects, right? And we find out, again, as almost these throwaway lines in there, lore-wise, that the interactions between these, the Shaper's gods, the war was 70 years ago. and haywire magic now sort of trying to figure itself out, which is again the alluded to at all the way tying back to the beginning, one of the accusations, the criminal element of what Thjazi was doing was a practicing arcanist, practicing magic. So that has to be important. The other dynamic here is that we find out, again, through little veiled comments with Arnessa at the end and Sir Julian, in terms of the houses between them and Wickander in the Candescent Creed, we find out these dynamics that the Sundered Houses that are making up the Chamber of the Lord's Advisory, by the way, that is way too long of a term, but I understand it as well, they are not all on the same page. They were not potentially all on the same page about this execution. And so we have layers upon layers upon layers. And similarly, Taisha and Julian's teaching Taisha. They're like on opposite sides there. We see Julian's deep-seated hatred for Thjazi with his interaction with Thjazi's dead body of sneering at it, wishing he could have killed him, essentially, twice. So we have a lot of stuff going on there. The big mystery of the whole thing, not what is Belair going to do, not even the end thing of Belair's secondary blackish mask going on. But it was the superstition of protection that was breached around Thjazi's body when this, sort of ritual was going on, and something dark latching on to Julian. How much of that is going to be an excuse for what he may do in the future? How much is it going to change things? Is it giving you callbacks to the Derolo situation back with Vox Machina with the demon there? I don't think we're talking about demon here, but are we talking about something from the Fey realm that's slipped back over? I have no idea. So those are the most interesting points for me. Those are the question marks, and those are my thoughts. Whatever you do, get the stone back to Valus. Those were his last words. What do you think? You're going to keep watching? You're going to keep tuning in? You want to see more of this? Let's freaking go. Critical Role, talking about it, breaking it down, and, well, having some fun. Peace out. Stay classy. Thanks for watching.